Salutations everyone, and welcome to another episode of Brainy Previews. In this episode, we'll be previewing the game Balthazar's Dream, a 2D platformer by Psilocybe Games, who you might also know as the creators of Pixidus, a point-and-click adventure game that has a very compelling story from what I could tell, but it's still on Steam Greenlight. As you can see, this one's also on Kickstarter, and so this is very much a preview as the game hasn't even been released yet, but I'm feeling kind of sad about not being able to preview Pixidus, so now that I finally actually have time to preview or review stuff again, we're starting off with this one. So, before we get into the story or gameplay proper, let's talk about the options, which there are none that you can access within the game itself. The only options available are graphics options, and they are the same presets of fantastic to fastest that some other games you probably know have, and a wide variety of resolutions to select from. What I feel like is really missing is a sound option, because I'd like to at least have a slider that can drop down the music volume and some of the other sound effects here and there, just so I could balance it myself. However, nothing else seems to hog the screen time, so to speak. Everything seems to be within a certain balance. And that is definitely one of the game's strong suits, as the music is just fantastic in this game, if you could just tell by the introduction, and then the music you get to hear when we get into the gameplay proper, which without further ado, let's go in. Now, this is only a demo of the game, and not the full game itself. They still are working on it, hence the Kickstarter. But, welcome to Balthazar's Dream. And would you look at that? It's our little friendly human. Now, because this is a demo, most of this is just the tutorial level slash the first chapter, if you could call that tutorial or the chapter. And the game basically follows you as the dog running through his dream, attempting to do something. We don't know if this will actually help or hurt the human in any way, shape, or form, but, well, let's let the human do the talking, shall we? A lot of the story you'll get here is primarily from the interactions of Balthazar and the human, and I will not show you the entire demo, because I definitely encourage you to go download it yourself, because it's definitely fun. You can find it on the Kickstarter page. But what I am here to talk about is the controls and how the game teaches you to them. Teaches you the controls. Wow, I cannot speak today. The controls themselves are very stern, yet fluid. What I mean by that is, you want to stop on a dime? Sure, you stop on a dime. You want to jump? You jump. You want to change direction mid-air? You can do that. You can do a lot of things in Balthazar's Dream, at least in terms of controls. And we got our first checkpoint. Anyway, in addition to the controls, your jump button also acts as your omni tool, so to speak, as your jump button is also your interact button. Thankfully, this is never an issue because they're kind enough to make sure that all these save points will never require interaction, at least in terms of the introductory level, because I've played through it to its completion, and the save points are always safe points. Nothing can come to you, no harm can come to you. Nothing can reach you, no harm can come to you. And I did play through this on hard difficulty, and I'm just trying to check out the differences between normal and hard. And I could definitely say, normal is for those who are newer to platforming games, at least as far as I can tell, because even hard mode, the game has no training wheels for you, aside from the tutorial already provided. Sorry. Now, if you choose not to take a checkpoint, that's your problem. You'll be set back to the previous checkpoint that you could have taken. So you always be on the lookout for the fire hydrants within the manor house. Honestly, what's the dog dreaming of? Is this the way the dog sees the world? It could very well be. That door looks altogether way too big for Balthazar. No! And of course, the game decides to make a fool of me. Anyway, as I said, controls are tight, and the game will do exactly as you tell it to. And as such, be careful. Anyway, as I was saying, be careful with the controls, because as the game does exactly as you tell it to, if you're tired, you make a mistake, that is entirely your fault. It's almost never the game's, aside from a few key instances, which we'll discuss later. The other primary mechanic, aside from this being a platformer, is the smarts bar. You see that bone at the top of the screen? That's not your health. You die in one hit. Anything hostile touches you, bam, instantly dead. Congratulations, you died, go back to checkpoint, which the checkpoints are another strong bit of the game. Checkpoints are relatively frequent, usually before difficult areas, and when you die, there's almost no delay, which is nice. You can die and restart from the previous checkpoint instantly, every single time, and that is a phenomenal thing for a game like Balthazar's Dream, as it means that there's almost no downtime with trying the same puzzle/issue multiple times. Now, I already know the solution to this one, but as you can see, your smarts bar gets drained when performing certain undog-like actions. When your smarts bar hits 0, well, you'll see what happens in a moment. And the cutscenes are actually fairly well written, in that you definitely get the feeling that Balthazar's a lot more intelligent than you thought he was. As normally you'd assume that it's the human that does all the talking, but it's nice to have that little bit of interaction between the two of them. And this is not at all me saying this because the introductory cutscene, which I had to watch 4 times, because I honestly am not able to commentate these things well, and it always makes me sad. And I have to redo it, and that cutscene is especially sad. But as the game states right now, when your smarts bar is depleted, fear repels you from the vacuum cleaner. And the game makes a lot of clever use out of this mechanic, so let me show you what I mean. Now you can see, we can't make that jump. No matter how hard we try, no matter how close we get, we can't reach it. But if you were to, say, build up a lot of fear, your dog starts trying to run, because he's trying to get away from the vacuum cleaner. But if we do this, you can almost make it. The actual solution's a little bit more esoteric than that, but this is a good tutorial for what you're expected to do. And I feel like this, just pausing to listen to the cutscenes, the music fits extremely well with how this game plays and how it looks. It's so peaceful, yet there's always this underlying tone of danger, like something can go wrong at any moment. Nope! Okay, thank goodness. I thought I failed the jump. I don't want to repeat this, but we're not yet at my most hated section, because so far the one thing we haven't seen are enemies. Glorious, glorious enemies. And the smarts bar is also not consistent, if that makes sense. They've designed certain sections of the game with smart bar fillage that changes massively. And what I mean by that is, say, if I were to go back here, the smart bar fills up almost immediately from nearly touching that vacuum, where the other vacuums had very little effect. It's variable. Like, just pay attention. That's all I can tell ya. Anyway, moving on. Anything else I forgot to discuss? I mean, as I said, the art style is definitely fits a 2D platformer like this, being in a very strange dream realm. And you can see a little bit of self-advertisement in here for some of their other games, such as Pixidus. But the game loves propping you up with different combinations of challenges that you faced previously, and is definitely well-paced. They introduce things slowly, but gradually ramp up the complexity of the challenges you have to jump through. I mean, I guess the game kind of trains you like a dog, really. Jump through a few hoops, and then combine all the tricks together. Anyway, he was talking about chocolate and grapes. Disclaimer, chocolate and grapes kill dogs, so don't touch the chocolate. Now, I can already definitely see the differences in hard mode here. Beforehand, at the beginning, you'll remember the 3 couches puzzle with the 1 couch at the bottom? Those couches move stupidly fast in hard mode. And here, there'd be about, say, 5 more chocolates that you'd have to jump over. It's definitely a lot more difficult. But it's also not that bad. And as I say, if you're going to try the tutorial, I'd definitely say play through it on hard mode, unless the game is actively frustrating you. Apparently baths kill you. I know a lot of dogs that would act like that. Anyway. Excuse me. I have to jump, that's the bigger issue. There we go. Let's see. Anything else I'm really forgetting, or do I just want to continue playing through this? You know, I like Balthazar's Dream enough where I don't mind it. Let's continue playing. Oh, they still have that jump? Okay, never mind. That jump right there is the same in hard mode as in normal. And while I did it the first try, that was one of my 2 biggest problems with hard mode ever, because the jump was so incredibly tight that I kept dying there repeatedly. Not like saying it's a bad thing, it's just for the tutorial level, there's a few things I would dial back on. For instance, was some of those jumps are a little tight, like compared to a lot of other sections, even in hard mode. Like, you're expected to die a lot, because it's hard mode. I'm not paying attention right now, but then again, I guess this is the Let's Player's curse. And patience is definitely a virtue, as with any platformer. Come on, grape, fire another one. Oh gosh, this is actual grape shot, that would hurt. Anyway, aside from, like, a few difficult sections, the only other thing I would change is something that you would notice a lot more in hard mode than you do in normal. The smarts bar. The smarts bar that you see at the top of the screen it lies a little bit. At the very end of the smarts bar is when your dog should go very fearful and have a lot of issues propped up with it, such as, like, the fact that you get a massive speed boost but can't really control your dog all that well. It actually takes a half second more than what the bar shows for that to kick in. And for new players, I feel as if that would be very, very confusing. As such, I would simply state that you should, or at least, sorry, the developers should probably change that so it's exactly when the smarts bar gets drained completely. As that feels like that'd be a lot tighter controls like that would make a lot more sense to me. I'm always curious, do the spiders actually kill? No, it's in the foreground. Okay, that's entirely my fault. And now I'm just getting impatient. Wow, I think I'm actually dying more than I did in hard mode. And thankfully the cats aren't instant kill. I didn't discuss them at all. Oh no, Balthazar, Balthazar, no, no, no. And the... Oh. This is the only other mechanic that I would highly recommend that you get... Well, you're gonna have to get used to this mechanic one way or the other, because this ball is incredibly touchy. Incredibly so. But there are interesting puzzles, such as this one. You may wonder why the heck I did that. Well, the truth behind this matter is that gap is actually a little bit too difficult to jump across. If you tried jumping at it, you actually would fail, repeatedly. Is the ball still there? It isn't, so we have to do this again. However, you can see that the ball drains your smarts meter. Because, well, all dogs like to chase balls. So some of the puzzles that are given in this game involve abusing the smarts meter, or setting up situations where it will drain exactly when you need it to. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to get to about here. Smarts meter... There we go. No! However, the dog's a little bit more clever than you. And if you aren't paying any attention, the dog will do things that make utterly no sense. And cause you nothing but pain and misery. Such as... that. And some hilarious things, such as the dog dying with the ball still out there. The dog will always chase the ball. But thankfully, it's a lot more forgiving than I'd originally thought, because in hard mode, I was having the hardest time trying to pick up the ball, period. And jumping all over the place. Anyway, let's try this again. And thankfully, all of this requires near insane levels of timing. And cats dislike the ball. They mean this. Is that you can kill the cats with the ball. The sad thing is I didn't actually know that, because that was a little vague at the time. I didn't actually realize you could kill cats with the ball until I looked at their Kickstarter and I saw the video of them actually doing that. But anyway, you know what? Since we're so close to the end, and this is a demo that anyone can access, I might as well show you the Cat Cthulhu. The Cat Cthulhu, the most annoying thing in the freaking universe. So, welcome to Linux the Fat Cat. No, ball! Come back here. Oh, you will take my ball. Oh, in hard mode, trust me, this is significantly more difficult. Because here, you can, in normal difficulty, you can just cheese him. Cheese him to no end. But in hard mode, trust me, when I say hard mode's hard, just try the Linux fight on hard mode. In fact, I might actually be doomed because he's screaming constantly, because he's not going to jump anymore, which is how I had to abuse the battle with him last time. Well, there's a quick death. Alright, this is going to seem incomprehensible to you all, but I'm going to go to the top of the screen. But hello, Cat Ninja Linux. And don't mind me as I stay up here. Linux, come on. Come on, Fat Cat. Come on, Fat Cat. I know you can jump up here. I know you will jump up there. And I know I will screw up horrendously. No! I'm not falling for that again. Ah! Dang it, Linux! You hurt me, internally and externally. Well, okay, maybe this boss fight isn't a cakewalk that I thought it was, but the other problem with Linux is surprisingly not showing up because Linux seems very averse to following me. Because there is one other major problem with Linux that I personally despise, at least about this boss fight in particular. No! No! Well, for starters, the blind falls are also annoying because Linux has an annoying habit of leaving cats everywhere. And when Linux does leave cats everywhere, Oh, I thought I could cheese it. Yeah, well. He has a habit of leaving cats everywhere. And when he does leave cats everywhere, it has the problem of if you land on one of the cats, you basically instantly die because the screen follows you just a little too slow. Just a little too slow. But then again, this is starting to get a bit nitpicky. It follows you just slow enough where you can actually get killed by the fat cat's spawns, ads, whatever you want to call them, by simply landing on them and not having enough time to react to them being there. You basically have to prepare to jump just as soon as you land, or you die. Furthermore, on hard mode, Linux gets the annoying trait where if you jump into him and he's on the downward portion of his arc, he will kill you. Problem is that unless you have superb awareness of his trajectory, you can theoretically get into the middle of a jump, be unable to dodge Linux as he comes down on your head from off-screen. Just like showing where Linux's cats are, and where Linux is a little bit more would probably be to the benefit. But all of this is just nitpicky. Final verdict on Balthazar's Dream is that, much like what he thought, that Balthazar is fantastic. The game is fantastic, and you should definitely Kickstarter it if you got a little funding. Heck, they have almost gotten most of their stretch goals. There's still one that's locked that we don't really know what it is. All we know is that there's an additional skin for Balthazar, and then something else which I've completely forgotten. But in the description below, there'll be a link to the Balthazar's Dream Kickstarter. And at the end of this as well, I'll see if I can put in one just for your viewing pleasure. But as I said, feel free to support them on Kickstarter for this wonderful, wonderful game. And until then, this has been your host, BrainBoy20, and I'm signing off. If you enjoyed the video, remember to like, comment, or subscribe, it helps out a great deal, and I hope to see you all next time. Farewell!